"Don't sign anything today." Those 5 words changed everything. They came from a man I'd never met before. A lawyer sitting 2 chairs away in the waiting room whispered urgently as my son Kevin walked out to take a phone call. I looked at him, confused, and he nodded toward Kevin's briefcase, left carelessly open on the seat beside me. Inside, I could see the corner of a legal document with my name on it. What was I supposed to be signing? What did this stranger know that I didn't? Let me back up. My name is Thomas Mitchell, and until 3 months ago, I thought I had a good relationship with my son. Not perfect, what relationship is, but good. We'd had our rough patches over the years, especially after his mother passed away 5 years ago, but I thought we'd moved past all that. I thought he'd finally grown up. I'm 68 years old, a retired mechanical engineer from Boeing. Spent 37 years designing aircraft systems, traveled the world, raised 2 kids on my own after my wife died. My daughter Emma lives in Portland with her family. We talk every week, but the distance makes regular visits tough. Kevin, though, he's right here in Seattle. Close enough that I thought we'd gotten closer. I should have known better. It started last November, right after Thanksgiving. I'd just sold the house in Ballard, the one where we'd raised the kids, where Linda and I had spent 28 years of marriage. Too many memories, too much space for one person. The market was hot, and I got an excellent price. $1.4 million. After paying off the small remaining mortgage and realtor fees, I walked away with nearly $1.3 million. That's when Kevin suddenly became the dutiful son. Before the sale, I'd see him maybe once a month. He was always busy with work, with his wife Jennifer, with their social life. I understood, or at least I told myself I did. But the week after that sale closed, Kevin called me. "Dad, Jennifer and I were thinking we should do Sunday dinners together. You know, make it a regular thing. You shouldn't be eating alone all the time." I was touched. Maybe Linda's death had finally taught him what really mattered. Maybe watching his kids grow up, my grandchildren, Tyler and Sophia, had given him perspective on family. So we started having Sunday dinners. Kevin and Jennifer would pick me up from my new apartment in Capitol Hill, and we'd go to nice restaurants. They insisted on paying, which made me uncomfortable, but Kevin said it was his treat. "You spent enough money raising me, Dad. Let me do this." Then came the doctor's appointments. "Dad, when's the last time you had a full physical?" Jennifer asked one Sunday in December. "Kevin's been worried about you. You should really be getting regular checkups at your age." I'd had my annual physical in September, but I didn't want to seem dismissive of their concern. "I guess it's been a while," I lied, not remembering I'd just told them about it 2 months earlier. Jennifer's eyes lit up, though at the time, I didn't notice. "I know a great doctor. He's amazing, very thorough. Let me set something up for you." "I have a doctor." "But is he really the best?" Kevin interrupted. "Dad, you worked your whole life. You deserve the best care now. Dr. Harrison is phenomenal. He works with a lot of our friends' parents." The way he said "our friends' parents" should have been my first clue. Like I was some elderly charge to be managed, not his father. But I agreed. What harm could a second opinion do? That's also when they started talking about me moving in with them. "That apartment is so small, Dad," Jennifer said, looking around my perfectly adequate 2-bedroom in Capitol Hill. "And all those stairs. What if you fall?" "I'm on the 2nd floor, Jennifer. There's an elevator." "But what if the elevator breaks? You'd be trapped." She exchanged a look with Kevin that I caught but didn't understand. "Not yet. We have that whole finished basement," Kevin added. "It's basically its own apartment. You'd have privacy, but we'd be right upstairs if you needed anything." If I needed anything. I was 68, not 88. I walked 3 miles every day. I was in better shape than Kevin, who'd put on 40 pounds since college. "I appreciate the offer, but I like my independence," I said. Another look between them. This one lasted longer. Of course, Kevin said quickly. "Just keep it in mind. The offer's always open." Over the next few weeks, something started happening that made me question everything. I'd be in the middle of a conversation, and Jennifer would interrupt. "You already told us that story, Thomas," said with a patient smile, like she was dealing with a confused child. Or Kevin would ask, "Dad, where'd you put your keys?" And I'd reach into my pocket, where I'd just put them, only to find them on the kitchen counter. "You left them there," he'd say. "Remember?" I didn't remember. But keys get moved. People forget small things. It happens. Then one morning, I woke up to find my wallet in the freezer, tucked right behind the ice cream. I stared at it, genuinely confused. I had no memory of putting it there. None. I checked my calendar. Had I been drinking the night before? No. I rarely drink. Had I taken any medication that might explain it? Nothing new. The thing is, I have a very specific routine with my wallet. Every night, it goes in the dish on my dresser, along with my keys and watch. Every single night. 30 years of habit don't just disappear. But there it was, in the freezer. I didn't tell Kevin about it, but somehow, Jennifer knew. "Your dad left his wallet in the freezer," she told Kevin that Sunday, right in front of me, her voice dripping with gentle concern. Can you believe it? Thank God I stopped by to drop off those leftovers and found it before everything got damaged. I hadn't given Jennifer a key to my apartment. I looked at Kevin. "I gave her my emergency key, Dad. I hope that's okay. We just worry about you being alone." "You found my wallet in my freezer?" I asked Jennifer directly. "Right behind the vanilla ice cream. You probably put it there when you were putting away groceries and just forgot." But I hadn't bought ice cream in weeks. That's when the gaslighting really escalated. My coffee cup would be in the bathroom, my phone in the microwave, my glasses inside the refrigerator. Each time, either Kevin or Jennifer would find them and tell me, so gently, so patiently, where I'd left them. "Maybe you should see Dr. Harrison sooner rather than later," Kevin suggested. These memory lapses. "Dad, they're getting worse." Were they? Was I losing my mind? I started keeping a journal. Every night, I'd write down where I put things. Every morning, I'd check. For 3 days, everything was where I'd left it. Then, on the 4th day, a day when Kevin had stopped by just to check on me, my keys were in the bathroom medicine cabinet. My journal said they were in the dish on the dresser. I started to wonder if I was writing false memories in the journal itself. The breaking point came in January, Tyler's basketball game. I'd been so excited my grandson was starting at point guard. Kevin picked me up, and we drove to the school together. Halfway through the second quarter, I asked Kevin, "When did Tyler get so tall? I swear he's grown a foot since Christmas." Kevin looked at me strangely. "Dad, we're at Sophia's volleyball game. Tyler's game is next week." I looked at the court, at the girls playing volleyball, at the net I'd somehow convinced myself was a basketball hoop. I couldn't speak. How had I gotten it so wrong? How had I not noticed? Kevin put his hand on my shoulder. "It's okay, Dad. Easy mistake. You're just tired." But I wasn't tired. And I knew the difference between basketball and volleyball. I'd played basketball in college. I'd coached Kevin's youth teams. That night, I barely slept. Was this how dementia started? With small confusions that snowballed? Had I been hiding from the truth of my own decline? The next morning, Kevin called. "Dad, I got you an appointment with Dr. Harrison. This Thursday at 2. Jennifer and I will pick you up." I should have been relieved. Instead, I felt a creeping sense of dread. That Wednesday night, my daughter Emma called from Portland. "Dad, I got the weirdest call today from Kevin," she said. "He wanted to know if I'd noticed you forgetting things. He said, you're showing signs of cognitive decline, and they're taking you to see a specialist." Something in her voice made me sit up straighter. "What did you tell him?" "I told him you seemed fine when we talked last week. Sharp as ever. You remembered Tyler's exact stats from his game, the name of that restaurant I mentioned trying, even that book I said I was reading." Kevin seemed, I don't know, almost disappointed. That's when the fog lifted. I asked Emma to do something for me. Something that might have seemed paranoid, but I needed to know. "Next time you're on the phone with me, can you ask me specific questions? Things only I would know. Details from our conversations. Then write down my answers." "Dad, what's going on? Just do this for me, please." She agreed, concerned but willing. Over the next few days, Emma would call randomly and quiz me. What was the name of Tyler's coach? What did we talk about last Tuesday? What book did I say I was reading? I answered every question correctly. Every single one. I wasn't losing my mind, but someone wanted me to think I was. Thursday came. Kevin and Jennifer picked me up, all smiles and gentle reassurance. Dr. Harrison is wonderful, Dad. He's going to help. The office was in Bellevue, in one of those medical complexes that tries too hard to look comforting. Soft lighting, watercolor paintings, classical music playing quietly. Jennifer checked me in while Kevin scrolled on his phone. The waiting room was nearly empty. Just me, Kevin, Jennifer, and a distinguished-looking man in his 50s, sitting 2 chairs away, reading a legal journal. I need to make a call, Kevin said, standing up. Dad, we'll be right outside if you need anything. He grabbed Jennifer's elbow, and they both walked out to the hallway. But Kevin left his briefcase. It was sitting on the chair between us, and it hadn't been fully closed. The zipper was open about 6 inches, and I could see papers inside. I wouldn't have looked. I'm not a snooper. But the man next to me leaned over and said quietly, "You're Thomas Mitchell?" "Yes." "Don't sign anything today." I stared at him. "I'm sorry, what?" He nodded toward Kevin's briefcase. "In there. Those are conservatorship papers. I'm an estate attorney. I've seen them 1,000 times. If you sign them, your son will have complete control over your finances, your medical decisions, everything." My blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" "The papers in his briefcase. I saw them when he opened it earlier. That's your name on the petition." He leaned closer, speaking urgently but quietly. "I don't know your situation, Mr. Mitchell, but I've seen this before. Family members who try to get conservatorship over elderly relatives who are perfectly competent. Usually it's about money. Those papers need 2 doctors to sign off saying you're mentally incompetent. Is that why you're here today?" I couldn't breathe. "Look, I could be completely wrong," he continued, "but I'm licensed to practice in Washington State, and something about this doesn't sit right with me. That appointment you're about to go to? I'd bet anything the doctor is expecting you to fail his assessment. Maybe he's even been paid to make sure you do. That's, I wanted to say impossible, crazy. But was it? The wallet in the freezer, the keys in the medicine cabinet, the coffee cup in the bathroom, the basketball game that was actually volleyball. None of it had been my memory failing. They'd been setting me up. "Here." The lawyer pressed his business card into my hand. "My name is Robert Carlson. If I'm wrong, throw this away and forget we talked. But if I'm right, call me. Today. Before you sign anything." Kevin and Jennifer came back into the waiting room, both looking at their phones. "Everything okay, Dad?" Kevin asked, noticing my expression. "Fine," I managed. "Just nervous." "Nothing to be nervous about," Jennifer said, that patient smile back on her face. "Dr. Harrison is very nice." A nurse called my name. I stood up, my legs shaking. Kevin grabbed his briefcase and followed me. "Actually," I said, turning to him, "I'd prefer to go in alone. Doctor-patient confidentiality and all." Kevin's smile faltered for just a second. "Dad, I should be there to help explain." "I'm 68, Kevin. I can talk to a doctor by myself." We stared at each other. Finally, he nodded. "Of course. We'll be right here when you're done." But as I walked down the hallway behind the nurse, I felt Kevin's eyes boring into my back. "Doctor." Harrison's office was all dark wood and leather chairs. Very expensive, very impressive. The doctor himself was smooth, professional, with practiced sympathy in his eyes. "Mr. Mitchell, thank you for coming in. Your son has expressed some concerns about your memory and cognitive function. I understand you've been having some episodes?" "Episodes? Like I was having seizures." "Have I?" "Your son mentioned you've been misplacing items frequently, forgetting conversations, experiencing confusion about recent events." He consulted his notes. "Is that accurate?" I thought about the lawyer's card in my pocket. I thought about Emma's phone calls, proving my memory was fine. I thought about my wallet in the freezer, something I never would have done, but something I might have done if someone else had put it there. "Doctor, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Did my son pay you for this appointment?" His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "Your son provided your insurance information." "That's not what I asked." Silence. "Dr. Harrison, I'm going to be very direct. I don't believe I have any cognitive issues. I believe my son has been gaslighting me to make it appear that I do." And I believe this appointment is part of an effort to establish medical evidence for a conservatorship petition. I leaned forward. Am I warm? He set down his pen. For a long moment, he just looked at me. Mr. Mitchell, I think this appointment is over. I agree. I stood up and walked out. Kevin and Jennifer jumped to their feet when they saw me. That was fast, Kevin said. What did he say? He said I'm fine, fit as a fiddle, no cognitive issues whatsoever. I looked directly at my son. Isn't that wonderful news? Kevin's jaw tightened. He said that? We should celebrate, I continued. All those concerns about my memory, and turns out there's nothing wrong at all. You must be so relieved. Dad, maybe we should get a second opinion. No need. I'm good. I started walking toward the exit. I'll get an Uber home. Thank you for bringing me. Dad, wait. But I was already pushing through the doors. The Uber ride home gave me time to think, to really think, without Kevin and Jennifer's watchful eyes, without their patient voices telling me what I'd forgotten, what I'd misplaced, how confused I was. I wasn't confused. I was being manipulated. Once home, I locked my door, both the regular lock and the chain, and called the number on Robert Carlson's card. He answered on the second ring. Robert Carlson. Mr. Carlson, this is Thomas Mitchell. From the waiting room. Mr. Mitchell, I was hoping you'd call. What happened? I told him everything. The Sunday dinners that started right after the house sale. The sudden concern about my health. The items appearing in strange places. The basketball game that was volleyball. The appointment with Dr. Harrison. When I finished, Robert was quiet for a moment. Mr. Mitchell, I've been practicing estate law for 23 years. I've seen this exact pattern at least a dozen times. Usually, it goes one of two ways. Either the family succeeds in getting conservatorship and drains the elderly person's assets, or someone intervenes in time to stop it. What do I do? First, you need to secure your assets immediately. Do you have a will? Yes, but it's old. From before my wife died. Does it leave everything to your children equally? Yes. That needs to change today. Not because you shouldn't provide for your children, but because right now, that will is leverage. Kevin knows he's getting half when you die, but if he can get conservatorship, he gets control now, and there's no telling how much will be left by the time you actually pass away. My hands were shaking. My son is really trying to steal from me? I can't say for certain without seeing those papers in his briefcase. But everything you've described points to financial elder abuse, Mr. Mitchell. And I'm sorry to say this, but it's more common than you'd think. I thought about Kevin as a little boy, teaching him to ride a bike, helping with his math homework, paying for his college when he didn't get the scholarships he'd hoped for, standing next to him at his wedding. Had I failed him somehow? Raised him to be the kind of person who'd do this? What's the first step? I asked. Can you come to my office right now? We need to move fast. If Kevin realizes you're onto him, he might accelerate his timeline. An hour later, I was sitting in Robert Carlson's office in downtown Seattle, signing papers. This is a revocable living trust, Robert explained. You're transferring all your assets into it, your cash, your investments, everything. You remain the trustee, which means you have complete control. But if someone tries to get conservatorship over you, they can't touch the trust assets. What about my kids? They're still my beneficiaries, right? That's up to you. Right now, I'd recommend naming your daughter Emma as your primary beneficiary and successor trustee. You can always change it later if circumstances change. If circumstances change. If Kevin proves he's not trying to rob me, but we both knew that wasn't going to happen. There's more, Robert said. We need to establish that you're mentally competent. I'm going to send you to a neurologist. I trust Dr. Patricia Kim. She'll do a full cognitive assessment. When it shows you're completely sound, we'll have documentation proving any claims to the contrary are false. Will that hold up in court? It will make it much harder for Kevin to find a doctor willing to say you're incompetent, especially once we start asking questions about his relationship with Dr. Harrison. Over the next 3 days, I moved with purpose I hadn't felt in months. Dr. Kim evaluated me. 2 hours of memory tests, reasoning puzzles, cognitive assessments. At the end, she smiled. Mr. Mitchell, Your cognitive function is completely normal for your age. Actually, it's above average. Your memory is excellent. Your reasoning is sound, and you show no signs whatsoever of dementia, Alzheimer's, or any other cognitive impairment. I could have cried with relief. Robert arranged for a forensic locksmith to check my apartment. What he found made my stomach turn. "Someone's been in here," the locksmith said. "Multiple times. See this scratch pattern on the deadbolt? That's from a bump key. Amateur work, but effective." Kevin had been breaking into my apartment. We installed new locks, high-security ones that couldn't be bumped or picked, and we installed something else, hidden cameras. "If he's been moving your things to make you seem confused, we need proof," Robert said. "These cameras are motion-activated and cloud-connected. If anyone enters your apartment, we'll have video evidence." It took less than a week. I made sure to mention to Kevin casually, during a phone call, that I was feeling much better, that maybe all those memory issues had just been stress about selling the house. That I was even thinking about taking a trip to Portland to see Emma. 2 days later, at 2:17 p.m. on a Tuesday, while I was supposedly at my weekly book club, the cameras caught someone entering my apartment. Jennifer. The video showed her using a key, my emergency key that Kevin had given her, and moving through my apartment with obvious familiarity. She went straight to the kitchen and put my wallet in the freezer. Then she took my coffee cup from the dish drainer and placed it in the bathroom. Finally, she moved my reading glasses from the living room table and put them in the vegetable drawer of the refrigerator. All in under 5 minutes. Then she left, locking the door behind her. We had her, but Robert wanted more. This proves gaslighting, which is abuse, but we need to connect it directly to the conservatorship attempt. We need to catch them talking about it. My daughter Emma came to Seattle that weekend. I hadn't seen her in 3 months, and when she hugged me at the airport, she held on longer than usual. "Dad, I've been so worried." "I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening sooner." She pulled back, studying my face. "You seem different, stronger." "I am different. I'm angry." We hatched a plan. Emma called Kevin and told him she was worried about me, that she'd noticed the same things he had: forgetfulness, confusion, misplaced items, that maybe they needed to have a family meeting to discuss my care. Kevin jumped on it. Of course he did. Having Emma on his side would make everything easier. They agreed to meet at my apartment the next day, Sunday. Kevin, Jennifer, and Emma. A family meeting to discuss Dad's situation. What Kevin didn't know was that every room in my apartment was now recording audio and video, and I wouldn't be there. I'd be at Robert Carlson's office, watching via live feed. Sunday came. Emma let Kevin and Jennifer into my apartment at exactly 2 p.m. "Where's Dad?" Kevin asked immediately. "Running errands," Emma said smoothly. "I thought we should talk privately first. Figure out the best approach." They sat down at my kitchen table. Emma poured coffee. And then she started recording them in a different way by asking questions. "So, Kevin, you really think Dad needs a conservator?" "I don't think it, Emma. I know it. You haven't been here. You haven't seen how bad it's gotten." "What exactly have you seen?" And Kevin told her every instance of my supposed memory loss. Every misplaced item, the basketball game that was volleyball. He laid it all out, like evidence in a trial. "The thing is," Kevin said, leaning forward, "Dad just sold the house. He has over $1 million just sitting in his bank account. What if he gets scammed? What if he makes bad decisions? We need to protect him." "Protect him," Emma repeated. "Or protect his money." Kevin's expression hardened. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Kevin, I talk to Dad every week. He seems fine to me. Sharp, actually." "That's because he's good at hiding it," Jennifer interjected. "Classic early-stage dementia behavior. They mask it well over the phone." "Have you talked to his actual doctor?" Emma asked. "The one he's been seeing for years?" Kevin waved that away. "That doctor is old school. Doesn't know how to recognize cognitive decline. We took Dad to a specialist." "And what did the specialist say?" Silence. "Kevin, The appointment got cut short. Dad walked out before the full evaluation." "Why would Dad walk out?" More silence. Then Kevin said, very carefully, "Because he's in denial, Emma. He doesn't want to admit there's a problem. Emma nodded slowly. So, what's your plan? This was it. This was the moment we needed. Kevin looked at Jennifer, then back at Emma. We file for conservatorship. It's not what we want, but it's what's necessary. Dr. Harrison has agreed to provide a medical evaluation supporting the petition. Even though Dad walked out of the appointment, he saw enough to make an assessment. That's convenient, Emma said. Look, I know this is hard to accept, Kevin said, his voice taking on that patient tone I knew so well. But we're doing this for Dad's own good. Once the conservatorship is in place, we can make sure his money is safe, his medical care is managed, and he's protected. And you'd be the conservator? Of course. I'm local. I can manage his affairs. Manage his affairs, Emma repeated. Including his finances? Someone has to. And his $1 million would be... where? Kevin's eyes narrowed. What are you getting at, Emma? I'm just trying to understand. If you're conservator, you'd control Dad's money, right? For his benefit, yes. All of it? The full $1.3 million? If necessary. Emma sat back. That's interesting, Kevin, because I've been doing some research on conservatorships. Did you know that in Washington state, conservators are supposed to be monitored by the court? That there are annual accountings required? Of course there are safeguards. And did you know that financial elder abuse is a felony in this state, including abuse by family members? The room went very quiet. Emma, what the hell are you talking about? Kevin's voice had an edge now. I'm talking about the fact that Dad's wallet didn't walk itself into the freezer. His keys didn't teleport into the medicine cabinet, and he definitely didn't misidentify a volleyball game as basketball because there was no volleyball game that day. I checked with the school. Sophia didn't have a game that night. Kevin stood up. You don't know what you're talking about, don't I? Tell me, Kevin, how did you get into Dad's apartment to move things around? Did you use the emergency key? The one you told Dad you gave to Jennifer? Jennifer's face went pale. Or maybe, Emma continued, standing to face her brother, you used a bump key? Because according to the locksmith who examined Dad's locks, someone's been picking them, multiple times. This is insane, Kevin said, but his voice lacked conviction. What's insane is thinking you could steal from your own father and get away with it. I'm not stealing. Then what do you call gaslighting an elderly person into thinking they have dementia so you can take control of their money? Kevin's face flushed red. You have no proof of any of this. Actually, said a voice from the hallway, we do. I stepped into the kitchen. Behind me was Robert Carlson and a police officer I'd met earlier that week. Kevin's mouth fell open. Dad, don't. My voice was steady, cold. Don't call me that right now. I nodded to Robert, who held up a tablet showing the video of Jennifer in my apartment, methodically moving my belongings to strange locations. This is from Tuesday, Robert said. We have you on camera entering Mr. Mitchell's apartment without permission and deliberately moving his possessions to make him appear confused. We also have audio recording of this conversation, in which you admitted to planning to file a fraudulent conservatorship petition. The police officer stepped forward. Mr. Kevin Mitchell, I'm Officer James Chen. We need to talk about potential charges of elder abuse and attempted fraud. Kevin looked at Jennifer, who was crying silently. Then he looked at me. Dad, please. I can explain. Explain what? How you broke into my home? How you tried to convince me I was losing my mind? How you were planning to steal everything I spent my life building? My voice cracked. You're my son, Kevin. I needed the money, he said quietly. We needed it. We're in debt, serious debt. The house, the cars, Tyler's private school, we're drowning. And you just have it sitting there, doing nothing. So you decided to take it? To destroy your father's mind and reputation to get it? I wasn't going to hurt you. I was just going to manage your money better than you could. I'm 68 years old, Kevin, not 98. My mind is perfectly sound, which you would have known if you'd ever bothered to actually talk to me instead of scheming behind my back. Officer Chen cleared his throat. Mr. Mitchell, we can discuss charges at the station. Wait, Kevin said desperately. Dad, please, think about Tyler and Sophia. They're your grandchildren. Don't do this to them. That stopped me. Robert put a hand on my shoulder. Thomas, you don't have to decide anything right now. But I did have to decide. Kevin had tried to destroy me, had systematically, deliberately tried to convince me I was incompetent so he could take everything I'd worked for. And yet he was still my son. I looked at Officer Chen. What are my options? You can press charges, elder abuse, attempted fraud, breaking and entering, or you can file for a restraining order without criminal charges, or you can handle it privately. I looked at Kevin, really looked at him. The little boy who'd held my hand on his first day of kindergarten, the teenager I'd taught to drive, the young man I'd walked down the aisle at his wedding. Where had I lost him? Here's what's going to happen, I said slowly. You're going to leave, both of you. You're not going to contact me unless I contact you first. You're not going to come within 500 feet of my apartment. And you're definitely not filing any conservatorship petitions. Dad, I'm not finished. I've already set up a trust. Everything I own is in it. Emma is the trustee. Even if you somehow convinced a judge I was incompetent, which you can't, because I have recent medical evaluations proving otherwise, you couldn't touch my assets. Kevin's face crumpled. But here's the thing, Kevin. I'm going to give you a chance I probably shouldn't give you. I took a breath. You have 6 months to get your financial house in order without my help. Sell what you need to sell, cut what you need to cut, and figure out how to live within your means. If, at the end of 6 months, you've done that, and if you've gotten therapy, real therapy about whatever made you think this was acceptable, then maybe we can start to rebuild something. You mean it? Hope flickered in his eyes. I mean, I won't press charges right now. I mean, I'll give you a chance to prove you're the son I raised, not the man who tried to rob me. But Kevin? I stepped closer. If you ever try anything like this again, if you ever contact Dr. Harrison, or file those papers, or come near me with anything other than genuine remorse, I will press every charge Robert can think of. Do you understand? He nodded, tears running down his face. And the will I made when your mother was alive? The one leaving everything split between you and Emma? I paused. I've changed it. Everything goes to Emma now, with provisions for Tyler and Sophia's college funds, which will be managed by independent trustees. You get nothing, and that won't change unless you prove to me, over years, not months, that you've changed. Jennifer was sobbing openly now. Kevin looked destroyed, but I felt nothing. Maybe that would come later, the grief, the anger, the sense of betrayal. Right now, I just felt tired. Officer Chin, I'm not pressing charges at this time, I said, but I do want a restraining order filed. Understood, Mr. Mitchell. Kevin and Jennifer left without another word. Emma hugged me tightly. Dad, I'm so proud of you. I almost fell for it, I said. I actually started to believe I was losing my mind. But you didn't. You trusted yourself. That night, alone in my apartment with its new locks and hidden cameras, I thought about everything that had happened. Kevin had been right about one thing. I did have a lot of money just sitting there, doing nothing, so I started doing something with it. I set up college funds for Tyler and Sophia to be managed by independent trustees until they turned 25. Neither Kevin nor Jennifer would have access, but my grandchildren would be taken care of. I made a substantial donation to the Washington State Elder Abuse Prevention Program. I hired Robert Carlson to give free seminars at senior centers about protecting yourself from financial exploitation, even from family members. And I started volunteering at a local organization that helps elderly victims of abuse navigate the legal system. Because here's what I learned. Elder abuse is everywhere. 1 in 10 Americans over 65 experiences some form of it. And family members are the perpetrators in 90% of cases. We don't talk about it because it's uncomfortable, because we don't want to believe that the children we raised could hurt us, because admitting it means admitting we're vulnerable. But I'm done being quiet about it. I'm done pretending that family is always safe. 6 months have passed since that day in my kitchen. Kevin has called twice, both times, leaving tearful voicemails, apologizing and begging for another chance. I haven't responded. Maybe someday I will, but not yet. Emma visits every month now. Tyler and Sophia have started writing me letters, real letters, on paper, which their mother helps mail. They don't know what their father did, just that Grandpa and Daddy had a disagreement. Someday they'll be old enough to understand. I hope they never find themselves in my position, but if they do, I hope they remember that self-preservation isn't selfish. Dr. Kim has become a friend. We have coffee once a month, and she tells me about the cognitive research she's doing. She's writing a paper on gaslighting and false dementia diagnoses. My case will be in it, anonymously. And Robert Carlson? He's become not just my lawyer, but my friend. We play chess every Thursday night. And last week he told me he's started screening his conservatorship cases more carefully after seeing what happened to me. You'd be surprised how many family members have perfectly legitimate concerns, he said. But you'd also be surprised how many are just like Kevin. I'm still angry. I don't think that will go away. But I'm also grateful. Grateful for that lawyer in the waiting room who took a risk to warn a stranger. Grateful for my daughter Emma, who believed me when I needed her most. Grateful for my own stubbornness that made me question what I was being told. And grateful that I trusted that voice inside me that said something was very, very wrong. Because here's the truth. I almost lost everything. Not just my money, but my dignity, my autonomy, my sense of self. Kevin didn't just try to take my bank account. He tried to take my mind. That's what elder abuse is. It's not always physical. Sometimes it's quieter, more insidious. It's the slow erosion of confidence, the subtle questioning of reality, until you don't trust yourself anymore, until you think you're crazy, until you sign the papers. But I didn't sign. Thanks to 5 words from a stranger in a waiting room. Don't sign anything today. Those words saved my life, and I want you to remember them. If you're elderly, if someone is making you doubt yourself, if things are appearing in strange places and you can't remember putting them there, if family members are suddenly very interested in your finances after years of distance, don't sign anything. Get a second opinion. Call Adult Protective Services. Talk to a lawyer you find yourself, not one your family recommends. Install cameras in your home. Document everything. Trust yourself, because the alternative is losing everything, including your mind. I know. I almost did. But I didn't. And neither should you.